In this video, we're going to be talking about blended learning and how we can kind of scaffold it down because a lot of you are coming to me and you're just saying, I want to use blended learning, but my students are struggling with where I'm at with the blended learning process. And I think sometimes we need to take a step back to train our students, get those standard operating procedures back in place, and we have to train our kids how we run our classroom. So you can't just start and expect them to know. So we have to kind of take a couple of steps back. So here are some of the blended learning type models. And we're going to start with number one. So idea number one is station rotation. It's always a great idea to introduce your material whole group, like in a mini lesson, or small group, so students know what to do at that station. So right here is an example. This was made for kindergarten, and students are going to start at iReady till they know what to do. So that first time you're showing them how to log in, you might be showing them how to track their minutes, how to check their minutes, and all that kind of stuff. Station two is a worksheet, and it's always in this bin. So it's always some type of activity for the students, and it's always going to be in that bin. Having that consistency will help those transitions in the classroom. The third station is usually hands-on, so the students are going to be using cubes for math to help show different numbers. Also, the teacher has a teacher station. That's not listed because the teacher is going to be calling up those students. However, you could easily add a teacher icon into this if you wanted to. And again, the kids can rotate together, but this teacher was ready to call up her students into different groups. Again, that could be a start, and a way to scaffold this is every single group comes to you just so they get used to the routine and what is expected. Or maybe the next step would be you only have 3 stations and you're pulling students or small groups back to you based on formative data. Here we have a choice board. So this is the next step. So we've got our station rotation, and now students are moving to a list. They know all of these activities because they learn them in the station rotation model. So they're going to continue to watch maybe a video. They're going to read. They're going to work on iReady, and then they're going to practice. Then we've just added a choice. After they complete the must-do list, they are then going to pick one of these can-do type of activities, either hot dogs or puzzles or STEM bins. And if they finish that, they get to pick another one. So again, this is kind of a way that you can scaffold maybe the station rotation to a must-do list, and then students pick one. So keeping it really structured. And again, you kind of want to teach them how to use these activities in the can-do list before you just put it on a choice board. So you could either do that by video directions, or you could do it in your small group, or you could even do it whole group if you wanted to. So that is station rotation kind of scaffold and moving to that must do, can do type list. The next idea is roadmaps. So roadmaps right here, this one is very laid out for students. You can see there's videos, there's teacher check-ins, and the students travel among this game board and complete these different activities in this order. So again, first time you do it, very, very scaffold. And if they need help, there's a procedure for that. They click this little guy and it takes them to a Google form where they can get additional support. This next one right here, you can kind of see I can go in and I might say, oh, they don't need a video for independent reading. They know what to do now. So I can move that. I don't need a teacher check-in after that one today. And then I can move this game board and I can say, oh, my students are doing really well. They don't need all of that reinforcement. So I can make my game board a little bit smaller. I'm going to say I do still want a teacher check-in here. But now they know how to use Book Creator. So I can get rid of this and I can just move this up. And again, we're just teaching our kids like, hey, you're being a little bit more successful. And I might say, I don't need a teacher check-in. I'm going to be calling groups back to me. They can do StoryWorks. They know what to do. They know what to do at iReady. And so again, you're just taking out some of those teacher check-in scaffolds because you're going to be calling up students together or whatever. And then I could say, oh, I need to leave that video because this is a new activity. So that could be another way that you could kind of take this roadmap, take out some teacher check-ins, but maybe at the beginning you have a ton of teacher check-ins just because you want to make sure they are watching the videos, they are working on different activities. And then anytime I add maybe a new activity in, I keep that video there so they have that directions to recall what I'm saying, or if they for some reason are absent or whatever reason, they've got all of those resources. The next idea right here is I have students' activities where they can pick what order they work on. So I've got my iReady lessons here. I have teacher check-ins. These are must-do. The kids cannot move these. And one trick is if I go to File, Download as a PNG, and then I go to Slide, Edit Theme, I can actually make this one of the backgrounds in my Google slide. Let me go ahead and duplicate this slide. And now my kids won't be able to move those choices, which can be really, really nice. So again, I go up here to the plus sign now that I've added that, and I believe it was this one, and my kids can't move this, but they can move these little boxes over here, which I want them to, because I want them to have some choice over their learning. And so what they're going to do is they're going to look at these little boxes and they're going to move them onto their roadmap. So they're going to go, oh, foundations page, I want to do that here. I know I'm going to need a teacher check-in right here. I know I want to do independent right here before I do iReady. Oh, I love book creator. I want to save that for last. So students go in and they take these and they're able to move these around to wherever they might want it to go. So right here, they can say, oh, I want to do that next. Okay. And then students have that kind of ownership of their learning because now they have a choice in it. Same thing here. Students get to pick everything. So again, you put out what they had to do in certain orders. Now, students create their own roadmaps. They've got all their activities. They develop their plan of how they're going to tackle this. Once you get going with roadmaps, your students might finish pretty quickly, some of them. And so having that must do and then a can do list. And again, introducing this can do list one-on-one or small group or even whole group so they know what to do at these different activities can really help that classroom management piece. So there is an idea with using roadmaps with scaffolding. The next idea is choice boards. So this was a really cool exit ticket choice board. And if you go down to the YouTube description, you can pull up the actual document. And you can see here, I would introduce this choice board one by one. So every single day, the kids do this, maybe whole group or small group with you, one by one. And all of the directions and templates are below. And you could do this with any type of choice boards. Again, introduce the activity that's on the choice board one by one. Once the kids have mastered that, you could create a choice board. You could start with 2 activities they get to choose from, and then add 3, and then add 4, and maybe eventually you can have 9 different choices. Or you could create a tic-tac-toe board where they have to do 3 of the activities. But again, I would really, really encourage starting one by one, getting really good at it. They know the directions, they know the expectations, and then add it to a choice board where then they get to choose. So one by one first, and then choice board, and then you might be able to have more and more choices as they master those different tasks. And then the final idea is maybe you do a mixture. Maybe you start out with station rotation and then you move to roadmaps and then you add a choice board at the end of their roadmap or one of their choices on their roadmap. Or maybe you might do station rotation in a must-do can-do list, or you might do roadmaps with a must-do can-do list. Or a choice board, you have a must-do list and then they get to choose one of the activities they want to do. So again, you can totally choose a mixture, but again, I would highly, highly suggest setting up those standard operating procedures. Think about what you want students to do. What do they do if they have a tech issue? Because it's going to happen. And how do they handle different questions? Do you have a Google form? Do they write it on the board? Do they come and ask you? So what is that step if they get confused or lost?